All right. So you talked to Mike a couple weeks ago, right? Told you
Yeah.
kind of. Good. All right. So the role kind of is DevOps as kind of a dedicated resource for the data science and analytics team. He talked to you about kind of our use cases for the. I can tell you who I am. I'm assuming Morid, but I'm Scott. I work for Mike. I'm a senior data scientist on the team.
Okay.
Did he tell you about kind of like the data platform work we've been doing, kind of overhauling our data platform?
Yes. But he gave me an overview. Could you elaborate? It would be great.
Yeah. So I'll give a quick overview. Basically, our data platform, like on our enterprise data, has been SQL Server for about 10 plus years. It was designed really as an application data store. It wasn't really designed with analytics in mind. So as we've scaled up, we've started to run into a lot of issues. Like the number of events, the number of transactions we handle has scaled up by about a factor of 6 or 7 in the last 5+ years. So the data platform we had didn't really scale. It was on SQL Server. We're using Tableau for a lot of BI type things. And so really, analytics have become kind of hard to do on that platform because there's a lot of things competing for resources. There's a lot like SQL Server not being a cloud native resource, it's not really scalable for what we need. In addition to the data models were not designed with analytics in mind. They were designed just for the application. So about a year ago, we decided for the data science and analytics group to actually take over the data platform. And so we kind of redesigned it from the ground up, still basing it off of the enterprise application data model, but putting in essentially an abstraction layer where we want to focus on the analytics side. And while doing that, we also wanted to improve performance. So we're migrating to Snowflake instead of SQL Server because it gives us a lot of benefits of scalability and ease of maintenance. We're right now probably about halfway through that process. So Snowflake is the database we're using. Have you ever heard of Astronomer?
What's that? Could you repeat? I don't understand.
Yeah, Astronomer is a company.
Yeah, I heard about it, but I haven't worked on it very much on that one.
Yeah, so they run like a managed Apache Airflow service. So we're using that for our scheduling. Have you used Airflow at all? I forget this. I was in there in your resume or
not. Apache Airflow. Yes, for scheduling jobs, we use it.
Okay. Cool. So that's what we're using it for as well. We've got so right now what we're doing is we're writing a lot of ETL code and we're deploying it ourselves on our AWS instances. And to put it nicely, we're bad at it. Because we're having to deal with a lot of the AWS resources ourselves, which we can figure out, but that's why we're hiring a DevOps resource, someone to kind of take a lot of that off our hands. One on the platform side, and then also once we have the platform off and running, like a lot of the data science group's work is building APIs and allowing them for other applications in the company to use, building them for ourselves, and again, kind of deploying APIs, managing them, building monitoring, all of that. Like that's not our forte as data scientists. That's something that, we need help with. So that's why this role exists. Does that all kind of make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it was clear.
Is it consistent with what Mike told you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he said the same thing. Yeah.
Right, cool.
It was a short one on that day, so we didn't do much overview on it.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I guess first question for you right now. So, like I said, the person we hire for this is going to be kind of a dedicated DevOps resource for the data science and analytics team. We have other DevOps people in the company. We have an architecture team. We have like just a DevOps cloud team as well. So it won't be like sitting in a vacuum for us, but it's really going to be, you're essentially a member of our team. You're dedicated for things that we need. So at your current job, are you like, what's your team situation like? Are you a large team? Do you work doing a lot of solo work?
Yeah, so right now I'm working in Vanguard. It's a financial company. So I work with the cloud security team. So where we deploy a lot of Lambda functions and spinning up a lot of EC2 clusters. We use CloudFormation for cloud deployment, and we use Bitbucket as a code repository, and we use CI/CD pipelines for code integration and deployment. So we maintain like three environments: engineering, test, and prod. So all our development will be doing only on engineering. So once we are good with the development and testing phase, then we go to the production. We use a wide variety of AWS resources like IAM, Lambda, EC2, IAM policies, KMS keys, and we also use Route 53, load balancers, and auto scaling groups. So we do most of our deployments like a blue-green kind of deployment. So we will have the existing environment, and also we'll have the code environment that with the latest code updates. So we'll switch the DNS between the older and the newer one. So if anything goes wrong with the newer one, we'll switch back to the old one, so that we'll be always having a uptime all the time. So we use a lot of code pipeline deployments.
Okay. And so where are you getting your testing from? Is it kind of all internal to the engineering team? Are you working with any analytics or data science teams right now?
No. So we work with multiple teams. So right now what I'm working on it is we are hosting a cloud logon services where external calls will be handled through an application that we deployed in the cloud environment. So as of now, we had in the on-prem database environment where all the calls will, SiteMinders will be redirected to the on-prem database. So for maintenance point of view, we need to bring down the database down. So in order to handle the calls at that time from the client request, we hosted an application called Radiant Logic. It is an federated identity service which allows us to sync the DB2 on the cloud environment and allows the user to access their accounts, financial accounts. And also it helps them to make transactions and even any changes to their accounts. So we handle those codes, and when the DB2 came back up at the end of the day after the maintenance, we sync back from cloud environment to the on-prem DB2. So we do a lot of auto scaling, CloudFormation, and moreover, I work with the team. Is a cloud security team. We had a cloud security team. So this team, what it does is, it's a big organization, right? Everyone in the organization spin up their environments in the cloud. So we had some base policies that need to be followed. Like if you are using spinning up an S3 bucket, you need to encrypt the bucket with a standard encryption, or we had some encryption keys in our organization. So if any application team or SI team didn't enforce the encryption on their bucket, we had a Lambda function that goes across all AWS accounts. So this Lambda function runs based on the events. So we had an event bus across all AWS accounts. So what will happen is this event bus will trigger all the, when an event is triggered, it will catch the triggers like through some SNS topic or Lambda functions. So it will look for all the conditions which are we maintain, like does the bucket has the policy and applied on them, or the objects are encrypted or not. If it is not encrypted in an engineering and test environment, we'll terminate those buckets. It uh, it applies to the same way for all like VPC or IAM policies or EC2. So if an EC2 misses some of the critical tags, we're going to terminate them in the engineering environment and test environment. But if it is in the production environment, we send out an email based on the support tags. If an SI team has a support tag, we send out an emails to them.
Okay.
You need to do this kind of activities. We also do at the code deployment level also during the build stage. We had a Dome9 like rules kind of thing. It will search for the code parameters and tags, whether it has all the standard tags or a minimum requirement of tags, default tags. If it doesn't have those tags, we'll fail the build at the building level only, so that it cannot even go to the engineering. So the SI team can go and make those changes, require necessary changes. So we write a lot of Lambda functions. And recently I have been I got a task where I'm working with Golden AMS. So since our organization is very big, so we use only standard base AMS. So we create our own base AMS from the marketplace. So we take the market base AMI and we customize the AMI with all the required policies on some of the anti-malware agents on them. So recently I've been there is an issue across some of the agents are not working on some of the production instances. So we cannot go on to these production servers because we don't have access to them. So we are using AWS service called Systems Manager. So this helps us to remotely execute some of the commands like to remediate those issues on them. So I've been working a lot with cloud formations.
Gotcha.
And yeah.
So it kind of sounds to me like you get, since you're on the cloud security team, a lot of your tasking is kind of self-driven.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Okay.
Yeah.
So for us, it would be a lot of, I'm just telling you kind of how our group kind of interacts with the DevOps team. It's like, hey, I want to launch this API and I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah, we do.
So okay.
Yeah, we do that.
So you'd be, okay, so you'd be
we are the
comfortable with that.
Team. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that because we get requirements from other teams as well. So we had a main CSOC, Center for Cybersecurity Operations. So we get requirements from them. So we take those requirements and we implement them through API calls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said what are you using for CI/CD?
We are using Bamboo and Bitbucket.
Bamboo. Okay.
Bitbucket for code repository and Bamboo for deployments.
Gotcha. All right. Just because it took us a little while to get started, we're already kind of running out of time here. Do you have a little bit of time after 5 o'clock to talk a little further? Or do you have a hard out at 5? Do you have a hard out at 5?
Yeah, I can talk after 5 because over the phone. So since it is a freeze environment and due to coronavirus, we're working from home and we had a production issue that have been just for this call. I just kept it aside. I'll try to make to talk with you. I'll see. I'll let you know by end of the call.
Okay. All right. So then I want to, since we do only have a couple minutes left, I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to ask questions if you have any.
Yeah. So, like, how does it work over there? Like, do you do like do you use any deployment plans like CI/CD or just you write a cloud formation and spin up an AWS console or anything like that?
So right now, our architecture team, who is Jeff Duran, he leads the team. You'll be talking to him in a couple of people. He wrote us a pipeline using Azure DevOps. That is kind of the enterprise choice. So it's Azure DevOps tied to Bitbucket for our main deployment. We're still kind of in the infancy of the data science team using any sort of complicated or I shouldn't say complicated, efficient CI/CD framework. A lot of what we've done has kind of been by hand, like spinning up our own Elastic Beanstalk instances for APIs, our own EC2 instances when we need them. So we've got a couple of CloudFormation templates, but not really many at all. But Jeff has started pushing us towards a more complicated framework that's, at the end of the day, obviously significantly more efficient. But because it's more complicated, it's kind of out of our purview. I think it's out of our expertise, which is another reason we want to hire a DevOps person who actually understands it.
Yeah, automation makes life easier. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, long term, like a lot of what the data science and analytics group is going to be doing is building APIs, deploying them, needing to test QA, and having pipelines in place that, can just run rather than us beating our heads against the Elastic Beanstalk wall will be much more helpful.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, good.
Okay. Cool. Anything else?
Yeah, that's it from me. Yeah, if you had any other questions, please let.
Yeah, my biggest thing is just, trying to make sure you understand that, you'll be working with a team of, like I said, we have the architecture team, we have a DevOps team that Billy leads, who you'll also be talking to. But then a lot of what you'll be dealing with is idiots like me. When it comes to DevOps stuff.
So I had a friend over there, Rahul. He referred me and he said about the work you guys are doing, like how your organization works. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the very beginning, it will be kind of like ad hoc, like, hey, I need help building this API. Can you help? As you kind of get settled in our workflow, it'll be you building tools for us to use further along. That all sound reasonable to you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. And cool. All right. And I assume you just have the one Zoom room, right? So Mike should be joining this room. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. How long have you guys been work from home? Did it just start this week? Or?
Yeah, we just started this week. Our building is given to the contingency team, so we need to work from home. So they said give us 30 days minimum. I'm not sure how it's gonna long.
Oh, they said 30 days.
Yeah,
they were being optimistic for us. They said only 2 weeks, but my guess is it's going to turn into longer.
Yeah. Once we get the summer, it's gonna be okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I'm just skimming the resume again real quick. So, I had another question and I didn't. All right. Well, I didn't write it down, so. All right. Mike's in here now, so I'm going to hand you off to him. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, nice talking to you. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
See you, Scott.